Welcome. Hit subscribe below. This is Tim Smolens with High Castle Teleorkestra. We are still really excited about the debut album we had that dropped like 2 weeks ago. The fans really seem to be liking it. It's getting really great media reviews, and people have been blown away, which is what I was hoping for. So we're a little giddy about that. If you haven't picked one up yet, it's in a bunch of really cool formats. The deluxe download comes with 43 extra bonus tracks, some of which are like entire remixes of the record. There's collector's item, double vinyl, audiophile quality. There's a 2 CD digibook, which has it's like a book. It's got like 20 pages of artwork by our artist, David Dines. But go to Bandcamp and pick those up. There's also a shirt or on our website. Anyway, I haven't made a tutorial like this in a while. I was finishing the record. It almost killed me even just finishing the 10 songs. It was a lot of work to finish by like a certain deadline. And then the business model we set up was like, oh, we have 43 more bonus tracks we're going to give you. So as soon as we barely finished the record, we realized we needed to get right to work finishing 43 bonus mixes. So I'm happy with the result, but I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. It was awful trying to finish that, after being so strapped for time. But anyway, High Castle's been talking for a while about opening an online conservatory, and I wanted to make a video that sort of shows some of the sort of content we might be covering. And I wanted to use an example from this High Castle record. So this is a device that we employ constantly. It's one of the main weapons in our arsenal. It's called reharmonization. I know a lot of you know what that is, but there's kind of no end to what you can learn about it. I know kind of a lot about it, but honestly, there's people that completely blow me out of the water on that. But it's a deep subject that warrants a lot of investigation. But stay in touch about news when the conservatory is going to launch at highcastleteleorkestra.com. You can sign up on the front page for the email list. So, what is reharmonization? It is basically where you take a melody and then you just change the chords beneath it to make an entirely new mood or feeling. This is done all the time in jazz, and it's almost second nature. But in the case of jazz, a lot of times it's like the pianist, superimposing different changes on top of a rhythm section that is not changing the chords. So in the case where I'm talking about, it's where you just take the same melody, but you completely shift the chords. Lots of different people do this. Some of you might know that kid, Jacob Collier. He's one of the most sophisticated reharmonizationists on the planet. You take the same melody, you change out the chords that all become kind of upper extensions of the chord, whereas the melody before might have been a simple 1, 2, 3, 5 of the scale. Now you're turning the melody into things like sharp 9, flat 13, sharp 11, flat 9. You can try all kinds of different modifications to create a different mood. And that mood change when doing this, it's as profound and diverse as there are numerous changes that can support a simple melody. So, I could write 20 or 30 different chord changes for one melody and not even have the melody change key. It's kind of nuts. So anyway, just as an example, listen to this little treatment I did of Happy Birthday 6 months ago or something that shows you just some basic reharmonization and how it changes. Let's take Happy Birthday for an example and listen to the regular version of that. How wonderful. Now let's make a few chord adjustments and change the mood to make it more melancholy. Okay, so that changed the vibe. Now how about if, for the sake of experiment, change the chords so the melody was more of a dissonant, jazzy extension of these more dense, sort of stacked chords, and watch how the mood changes to deranged. Check it out. I think our brand of reharmonization at High Castle Teleorkestra is pretty unique, and I wanted to show you one. So this is the first song from our new record. It's the title track from The Egg That Never Opened. I'm not going to get into like a ton of specifics here, but the album is based on a Philip K. Dick book, Radio Free Albemuth, and we stay pretty true to it. Long story short, chapter 1 has this narrator who works at a record store in Berkeley in the hip 50s there, talking about all kinds of music. So we decided to make a medley of the various songs and artists he mentions. One of the most pivotal songs in the chapter is this old German war march. It's a tune written by Hans Beimler called Kamerad, and it is sort of like a war march that for one reason or another was stuck in the the narrator's head. He's humming it to himself as he walked down the streets of Berkeley. The chord progression on this couldn't be simpler. It's in G, so the chords go from G to D, then back to G. It's they call that a 1-5-1. It is the most simple and rudimentary chord change in Western music, so it makes for perfect reharmonization material, taking something in its simplest form and then kind of branching out harmonically to make something more sophisticated. Anyway, listen to how this sounds in the simplest form. This is just the chords and the melody. You can watch the chords on the screen. Now go, if you will, pause here, go find Kamerad on YouTube by Hans Beimler so you can kind of just hear how it's supposed to sound. I just want you to get this incredibly simple melody in your head. Okay, now you're back. Now I want you to hear what High Castle did with the same melody. Radically changed the chords. I will put the chords here on the screen. You'll hear that same melody, but the chords, weave this tangled and enchanted web that is more advanced than the original version would have permitted or even would have sounded good with it. So check out verse 2 here. This is not the main album mix, but this is an alternate mix from the record called the Telegraph Avenue Remix. Okay, so you heard that, and you hear how crazy the chords go. Now let's listen to verse 3. Same melody, and we turn metal, and the chords get even more jacked up. But somehow at the end, they almost comically find their way back home to G. When it finally hits those Gs again, it kind of is almost a dirty, like, what? No, you can't just go back to normal. But I kind of wanted to make it pretend like as if we had never left G, that none of the weird chords had happened, because they didn't happen. It was just a dream. Pretty wild, huh? So let's listen to verse 3 again, but just the string parts that I wrote for Timba. If I solo just the string parts, you can hear all these haunting inner voices of the oddball harmony. And I just want you to ponder, that simple chord change G to D to G, and then how you'd turn it into something like this without, each note of the melody is making some totally odd extension of those new chords. All right, let me quickly analyze what is going on there in verse 3 as far as, what each note and what it is of that new chord. So it starts on G here. We got G and B, so that's 1 and major 3 of that chord, G major. Then we get a G sharp 7, sharp 9. So this B is going to be the sharp 9 note. A is a flat 9, although not in the chord. Flat 9s sound great over dominant chords. Anything with that 7 there. Flat 9 sound great over dominant chords, as long as there's not a regular 9 there, which there's not in this case. There's a sharp 9. There's not a major 9. Then we got A9, and this G note is the dominant 7. Then we have a D and G over the C minor 6-9 chord. The D is the 9, and the G is the perfect 5th. Then we have C sharp 7, flat 5. The B is the dominant 7, and the D is a flat 9. Again, another flat 9 used over a dominant chord. It's okay as long as there's not a regular 9 there. D sharp major 7, sharp 5. We've got D is the major 7 of that chord, and C is kind of passing. It's either the 13 or the 6. It's not at all in that chord, but for a passing note, it literally doesn't matter. It just creates some tension. The B over this E minor add 9 chord is the perfect 5th of that E chord. D sharp 7, sharp 5. The G is going to be the major 3rd there. Then we got a G major 7 over D, and the B is the major 3rd of that. C sharp minor 7, flat 5. This B is going to be the dominant or the minor 7th of that chord, and the A is a flat 13, another passing note. Doesn't matter. It's not in the chord. Whatever. C minor 6-9. This B is actually going to be a major 7, although not in the chord. A major 7 sounds great on a minor chord and works. It's a nice tension. B diminished 7. The D is the minor 3rd of that chord. C is a quick passing note, a flat 9, and then B is the 1 of that B diminished chord. A7, we've got A. Wow, finally a root in the melody. So that's just the 1 of that A7. D sharp 7, flat 5. We've got an A, which is the flat 5, and a G, which is the major 3. Those are both in the chord. D7, we've got A, which is the perfect 5th, B, which is a quick passing, either a 13 or a 6. Those are the same thing. And C, which is the dominant 7 of that D7 chord. C minor, major 7. We've got a B, which is that major 7, great note, and then a 9 is even a better note. So that's the 9 of that chord, which works very well in those chords. B7, flat 5. The A is the dominant 7, and the B is the root, so it's the 1. E minor 6-9, the G is the minor 3rd of that chord. D sharp 7, flat 5. The A is the flat 5 of that chord. Then we got G sharp 7, sharp 9, sharp 5. The B is the sharp 9, and the D is like a sharp 11. Not in the chord. Sharp 11 sound great on dominant chords, so there you go. C sharp 7, sharp 5. The A is the sharp 5, and the B is the dominant 7. The F sharp 7, flat 9. The G is the flat 9, and then the A is the major 3rd of this F7 chord. And you can always put a bass note, a flat 5th, or a tritone away of any dominant chord, and it really spices it up. So this is the same exact chord, just with that tritone substitution, but just in the bass. Sounds great. B flat 7, flat 9. We got B natural, which is a flat 9 of that B flat 7, and D, which is the major 3rd. E flat 7, flat 5. We have the flat 5 here in that A, and then a B. It's a sharp 5, whatever. It's not on the chord. Sounds great. Another dominant chord. Dominance, you can hit almost any note in a dominant chord and it sounds great. A flat major 7, we got the G, which is the major 7, D 13 flat 9. We've got a A, which is the perfect 5th of that chord. Finally, we're back to the normal chords like nothing ever went wrong. G major, we got B and D, which is major 3rd and perfect 5th. D, we got the perfect 5th of that chord, which is A. B, which is a quick 13. Finally, back home to 1 on the G. If you don't understand any of that, that's fine. That's the stuff I'm going to build up in the music conservatory and sort of teach you how to do that from very rudimentary to more complex like this. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tiny little sliver of teaching here. This type of stuff will be covered at our conservatory and lots of other cool subjects. I will build it from the ground up, so I won't just, plop it on you like this and expect you to know it, but we'll kind of build up. If you don't, it's not something you're familiar with, and if you are familiar with it, I still think you'll get a lot out of it. Anyway, pick up the High Castle record today on Bandcamp or our website. Sign up for our mailing list at the front of highcastleteleorkestra.com to get more info. I'm losing words here, okay? And subscribe below. Thank you.